You are watching part 11 of the full series of Java Spring Boot interview questions. These are the 5 questions we are going to discuss in this session. Explain the concept of the Spring Boot Actuator and its major features. How can you integrate Spring Security in a Spring Boot application? Describe the role of the transactional annotation in Spring Boot. How does Spring Boot handle internationalization and localization? What is the purpose of the @REST controller advice annotation? First question. Explain the concept of the Spring Boot Actuator and its major features. Spring Boot Actuator provides a set of production-ready features and endpoints that help monitor and manage a Spring Boot application. Its major features include health checks, which provide information about the application's health, metrics, which gather and expose various runtime metrics, info, which displays custom application information, logging, which allows changing log levels at runtime, and many more endpoints for managing and understanding the application in a production environment. Second question, how can you integrate Spring Security in a Spring Boot application? To integrate Spring Security in a Spring Boot application, you need to add the appropriate dependencies and configure security settings. Spring Security provides comprehensive authentication and authorization mechanisms. You can configure security rules using Java configuration or annotations, define user roles and permissions, and customize authentication providers, such as in-memory authentication, database-backed authentication, or integration with external identity providers. Third question, describe the role of the transactional annotation in Spring Boot. The transactional annotation is used to mark a method or class for transaction management in Spring Boot. It ensures that the annotated method, or all methods within the annotated class, are executed within a transactional context. The transactional annotation manages the transaction boundaries, rollback behavior, and other transactional aspects to ensure data consistency and integrity. Next question, how does Spring Boot handle internationalization and localization? Spring Boot automatically resolves the appropriate message based on the user's locale, making it convenient to build multi-language applications. It provides support for internationalization and localization through properties files and the use of the message source interface. By defining message bundles for different locales and configuring the message source, you can easily retrieve and display localized messages in your application. Next question, what is the purpose of the @REST controller advice annotation? The @REST controller advice annotation combines the functionalities of @controller advice and @response body annotations. It is used to define a global exception handler for RESTful controllers in a Spring Boot application. Annotated classes can contain exception handling methods annotated with that exception handler, which handles exceptions thrown within any @REST controller in the application. These methods can return custom error responses or perform other actions based on the exception type. Hope you have learned something and feel confident to answer the questions we discussed so far. Here is the list of questions that will be discussed in the next session. Please check out our playlist for more questions and subscribe our channel for updates and notifications. Good luck for your upcoming interviews.